Welcome to the Morte Arthur discussion by Jehl Mendoza and John Patrick Javier. And we are here to discuss the book, Morte Arthur by Thomas Malory. Let's start. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ugh. Are you ready now? John Patrick and Jehl Mendoza.
Yes, we do.
Before we proceed, who is the author of this story? Okay, Jehl.
Thank you. Thomas Malory. Thomas Malory was born on 1415 CE and he was died on 1471 CE. An English writer, he became famous for his book, Le Morte d'Arthur, the classic English chronicle of Arthurian legend. But his Malory's identity has never been confirmed. But the likeliest candidate is Thomas Malory of Newbold Revel in Warwickshire. Thank you.
Thank you, Jehl. Now, let's start. Le Morte d'Arthur by Thomas Malory. Let's begin. Music by Cai Thomas performing Sou Gan. Sir Thomas Malory's Le Morte d'Arthur, meaning the death of Arthur, is a retelling of previous stories of the legend of King Arthur and familiar characters including Lancelot, Merlin, and Guinevere. These tales of the Knights of the Round Table, believed to have been written in 1469, or initially published in 1485. Subsequent authors to have used Malory's work as source material include T.H. White in his The Once and Future King, Edmund Spenser in The Faerie Queene, and Alfred Tennyson in The Idylls of the King. The legends upon which Malory based his work were mainly of French origin and date from the early decades of the 13th century. Those stories consisted mostly of romances focusing on Lancelot. There may be historical roots stemming from King Arthur and his knights and their search for the Holy Grail, but overall, the events are thought to be fictional in nature. Morte d'Arthur is a 14th-century English poem from which Malory may also have drawn inspiration. Book 1 of La Morte d'Arthur is centered on Arthur's birth and his rise to power. It tells of his success in battles and becoming allied with French kings Ban and Bors. Also included in this section is the attempt of Arthur to take the life of Mordred, the incestuous son fated to destroy his kingdom. The plot also explains the prophecies of Merlin that predict both the rise and fall of the Knights of the Round Table. Book 2 includes the story of the Knight with Two Swords, Sir Balin. Sir Balin along with his brother, Sir Balin, have exploits that include defeating Arthur's enemy King Rhys of North Wales. Additionally, they help Arthur in his quest to defeat the 12 kings of the north. Their adventures come to an end when, as the result of a case of mistaken identity, they end up taking each other's lives. In Book 3, the Round Table is introduced along with a series of adventures in which characters such as Arthur's nephew King Pellinore, Sir Gawain, and Sir Tor, who is Pellinore's son, are brought into the storyline. This section also features the marriage of Arthur to Guinevere. In Book 4, the sorcerer Merlin is buried alive by Nimue, the damsel of the lake. There is a war involving the knights of King Arthur and the 5 kings of the north. A new enemy enters the story in the person of Morgan Le Fay, Arthur's half-sister. Representatives of the Roman Emperor Lucius arrive at the beginning of Book V. They demand that Arthur pay a truage tax that he owes Rome. When he refuses, Lucius musters his forces and declares war on England. Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table accept the challenge and emerge victorious. They continue to move through Europe, and eventually, Arthur and his forces arrive in Rome, where he becomes the new emperor. Book 5 is also where Sir Launcelot becomes a main character. Events involving Launcelot become the focus in Book 6. Here, he defeats Sir Turquine, battles and wins out over 2 giants, and escapes from Morgan Le Fay. He gains the reputation of being the best knight among the members of the Round Table, and also the greatest knight in the world. He realizes his love for Queen Guinevere, but also realizes that he should never marry, as that would stand in the way of his adventures. Book 7 is considered to be the only part of Malory's book that was not inspired by earlier sources. At the onset of Book 7, a stranger arrives in Arthur's court. He is mocked by Sir Kay, who refers to him as Beaumains, or Fair Hands. Beaumains remains for a year and is eventually knighted by Launcelot and seeks adventure with the damozel, Lynette. Beaumains turns out to be Sir Gareth, a son of King Lot and Queen Margaux, and a brother of Gawain. Gareth proves his worthiness by killing Arthur's enemy, the Black Knight, and other enemies of the court. He ultimately becomes the 4th most powerful knight in the kingdom. Le Morte d'Arthur serves as a bridge of sorts between the earlier versions of the tales of King Arthur and the numerous respected works that followed it. Sir Thomas Malory's telling of the legend and its universal themes of love, betrayal, and adventure is frequently cited as the first novel written in English. Recap. Le Morte d'Arthur, completed in 1469 or 1470 and printed by Caxton in abridged form in 1485, is the first major work of prose fiction in English and remains today one of the greatest. It is the carefully constructed myth of the rise and fall of a powerful kingdom, a legendary kingdom, but perhaps also, obliquely, the real English kingdom which in Malory's day seemed as surely doomed by its own corruption as the ancient realm of King Arthur. Malory's myth explores the forces which bring kingdoms into being and the forces, internal and external, which destroy them. The power of the myth goes beyond whatever political implications it had in its day set to pin. For instance, the parallels Malory introduced between Arthur's reign and the reign of Henry V. Malory's grim vision has relevance for any kingdom or civilization. The very forces which make civilization necessary must in the end, if Malory is right, bring it to ruin.
Long story short.
Le Morte d'Arthur, key points. Le Morte d'Arthur is completed in 1469 or 1470. Printed by Caxton in abridged form in 1485, the first major work of prose fiction in English and remains today to be one of the greatest. It is a carefully constructed myth of a legendary kingdom. Okay, John Patrick, let's give him a round of applause.
Hello everyone, this is John Patrick Javier, and tonight I am going to discuss the summary of Le Morte d'Arthur by Sir Thomas Malory. So the story began when King Uther had an illicit affair with Igraine. Their affair brought to the existence of Arthur, who will later on be prophesied to be the successor of the throne. When Arthur became king, still ignorant of his origin, had an affair with Margus. Margus was Igraine's daughter. So basically, this makes them half-siblings, Margus and Arthur. They had a child named Mordred. Although Arthur had a child with Margus, he chose Guinevere to be his queen. Arthur was also prophesied to be the one to continue the tradition of Round Table. Round Table is comprised of 12 loyal knights of the king. One of them was Lancelot. Lancelot was a virtuous man and an honorable man. He fell in love with Queen Guinevere, and Queen Guinevere, also fell in love with him. Now, Mordred and Agravain hated Lancelot a lot, and when they learned about the affair of Lancelot with the queen, they plot a trap so that they can catch them, or they can catch them their affair, and so that they can have a strong evidence to the king. When King Arthur learned about their affair, Lancelot tried to escape with Queen Guinevere, but then Queen Guinevere stayed with the king. Queen Guinevere never renounced her love for Lancelot, even though he will face, or she will face, an execution from the king himself. So Queen Guinevere's love affair with Lancelot brought to the downfall of their kingdom, and that's how the story went. So I would like.
Thank you, John Patrick. Thank you for listening. Directed, edited and narrated using Narrator's voice application by Jehl Mendoza, in participation with John Patrick Javier. Thank you.